breath. Let's go ahead and start. Om. 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 Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Asato Ma Sadagamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Sahana Bhavantu Sahana Punaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Om Shanti 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 Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shakta Prabhavitum Nachedevam Devo Nakalukushala Spanditum Api Atas Twam Aradyam Harihara Virin Chadi Birapi Pranantum Stotum Va Katamakrita Punya Prabhavati Avidyanam Anta Stimirimi Hira Dvipa Nagari Jadanam Chaitanya Stabakamakaranda Shruti Jari Daridranam Chinta Manigunanika Janma Jalado Nimagnanam Damshtra Muraripuvara Hasya Bhavati Suda Sindor Madhye Sudavita Pivati Parivrite Mani Dvipe Nipo Pavanavati Chinta Mani Grahe Shiva Kare Manche Padaram Shiva Padayanka Nilayam Bhajanti Twam Danya Katichana Chidananda Lahari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's go into working with some pranayama. So the first few breaths, don't worry about manipulating it or controlling it in any way. But just begin to notice how the breath is flowing. So you have this awareness that you're developing. So then you can really work with the prana, with the breath. So perhaps you notice that the breath is a bit noisy tonight, or maybe there are lots of jerks or pauses, or maybe the breath feels very shallow. Which of those four stands out the most to you? And begin to attenuate that or alleviate it. So reduce it or eliminate it. So if you feel like there are lots of pauses, work on reducing or eliminating those pauses. And then move through the 4 no's of breathing. Until you settle into a very serene breath, where it feels continuous, smooth, without sound, and deep. Now, if you want to add exhaling from the crown to the tip of the tailbone and inhaling back up. And perhaps you notice that the body begins to settle as well, too. Maybe the shoulders soften. Maybe the groins relax. The neck might feel more elongated. The head may feel less heavy. And feel free to continue with this. If you'd like to move into nature vayamam, placing an imaginary clock in front of the eyes, opening the eyes, taking the gaze to 12. 1, 2, 3, touching all points in the periphery. If you notice any quadrants that feel particularly challenging, move slowly through those areas. Next time the eyes approach 12, center, blink, and shut. Keeping that camera there. Sorry. Keeping the clock there. Sorry, I was checking on the camera. Opening the eyes. Taking the gaze to 12, this time going counterclockwise. Next time the eyes approach 12, center, blink, and shut. Allowing the eyes to soften to the back of the skull, bringing those palms together, rubbing them together, getting lots of heat and lots of energy. And when you feel that heat, cup the palms over the eyes, taking the energy from the crown chakra, direct it through the arms, the forearms, the palms, and back into those eyes. And when that heat begins to dissipate, gently give the eyes, temples, cheeks, anywhere that needs any extra touch or healing this evening. And when you're ready, go ahead and open the eyes, push the legs forward. So we're just going to start with just creating just a little bit of space. So keep the right leg extended, draw the left leg back. So just some version of your Janu Sirsasana A. So maybe you stay high, maybe you put the hands on blocks. You can even roll a blanket, and place it underneath the knee for a little extra support. You can use a strap. Whatever you feel is going to serve you the most at this point in your journey. But wherever you are, stay active. So try to keep the spine nice and long. Feel like you're trying to wrap the left ribs around more towards the inside, nice, of that thigh. See if you can have the hips, the buttocks in one line. Our tendency is to have that left one pull back a little bit. I little more through here. Yeah. With the inhalation, bring it up. Keep firmly pressing through, so you're not going to use the hand necessarily, but you're going to press through that left leg. Take the right arm, slide it out. Maybe you stay high, maybe you can drop low, maybe you can bring the arm up. If you want to do anything, you can take the hand in the crease and press down and away as you look up. The next inhalation, bring it up and just switch to the second side. So since this is our rededication week, if I ask you to think and evaluate your level of commitment to your practice, your consistency with your practice, your sincerity with your practice, like if you had to give a rating, what would it be on a scale of 1 to 10? Go ahead and bring it up. Push that leg forward and bring the second leg back, and let's start with Janu Sirsasana. So 10 being stellar, 10 being the absolute best, 1 being like, ooh, I need to really rethink this, what I'm doing here. right? Even think of the quality of your practice. When you get on the yoga mat for your asana, or when you get on the yoga mat or your meditation cushion for your pranayama, for your meditation, what's the quality of it? Right? We could be sitting there for 4 hours and be fidgeting and festering about something that happened to us 5 years ago last week. So we might have the quantity, but if we don't have the quality, what's the point? Patanjali talks about in the Yoga Sutras, it was practiced for a long time. This is lifetimes, because we want to dig those samskaras, those habits in for practice, so that when we come back next time, those grooves are stronger than they are this time, than they were last time. So I'm going to give you a secret on how you can improve your practice. If it's stellar, hey, great. If it's anything less, maybe this will help. Bring it back up. Take your right hand, slide it out to the side. Left arm comes up unless you want to press down. So don't let that left sitting bone lift up at all. And to get quality, we need to examine our lives. Because how we do anything is how we do everything. If I'm sloppy on the mat, if I'm sloppy when doing my meditation, I'm going to be sloppy when I'm off the mat. When I'm cleaning dishes, when I'm vacuuming, when I'm working. So if we start changing the way we do things off the mat, you will start being more mindful on the mat, and then you start being more mindful off the mat. Then you come back and you're more mindful on the mat. And when I say mat, I'm talking about when you have your mat out and you're doing asana, and then you go into your pranayama and your meditation. So it's inclusive of all our practice. Bring it up, switch it to the second side. And when I'm more mindful, I'm more aware of what I'm doing. If I pay attention to how I live my life, when I get on the mat for my practice, I'm going to pay more attention. I'm going to be more concentrated. I'm going to be more focused. My mind isn't going to be going all over the place, running around. Even though I'm there, my mind, I may be in outer space somewhere. Right? We're all in this room right now together, physically. But are we all here mentally? Go ahead and bring it up. Now, push that leg out. Take a hold of a block. Slide the legs out so they're at a nice, they're not pulled back. So you've got a nice little bend in them still. And I want you to draw the heel. So you're really trying to draw the toes back in, but you're pressing the heels into the floor. Now, if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, then you're going to lean slightly back with the torso. Otherwise, you can stay a little bit more vertical. But you're just going to take the block over and over. And as you do it, really squeeze those thighs together. They're going to want to hang out and do all kinds of things. Squeeze the legs together, keep the feet together. And you don't have to go super fast, but each time, make the intention that you're going to try to go a little bit more into a twist. Keep the toes drawing back. Keep the feet together. Keep the legs together. Set the intention that each time you go to the left or the right, you're going to go more into that twist. So how you do anything is how you do everything. If you pay attention in life, you will pay attention to your practice. If you don't pay attention in life, you will not pay attention in your practice, right? We can think of it even in the terms of the Yoga Sutras. A few more times. Right? If we have these injurious thoughts, speech, and action, when we go to the mat, we're going to bring that with us. Our mind's going to be angry and agitated. So we'll be sitting there for an hour doing practice thinking angry, agitated thoughts. Next time you come to the right, pause and hold. Keep pressing firmly into the block, right? Can you lengthen the spine, but take it a little bit more into a twist? Nice. Squeeze the legs together a bit more. Nice. Come back through center, take it to the left. Do the same thing. This is where we examine ourselves, right? At the end of the day, not to judge ourselves, not to ridicule ourselves, not to berate ourselves. But how did I do today? How can I improve tomorrow? Set that intention before you go to bed. Bring it back through center. And then go ahead, hang on to, actually let the block go. Push the leg straight, come to the back. Interlace the hands underneath the back of the head. Squeeze the elbows towards each other. If you feel like you need more back support, you can always bend the knees. But you're going to lift up, keeping the elbows squeezing into each other. And you're going to take the elbows to the right and make a circle to the left.
Good.
Keep the elbows squeezing in. So keep the elbows like you're trying to bring them together. Lift up through the shoulders. Turn to the right, and then go into that circle around. Do 11 or so, and then switch directions. Each time, can you make the circle a little bit bigger? After you've done 11 to the right and 11 to the left, come back through center. So even think of like how much effort do you put into the practice? Think of the physical effort, right? How much effort do you put into life? How much effort do you put into all jobs? So do you put as much effort into perhaps cleaning the bathroom as you do into something that's bigger and showier and could get more attention? Do you do it with as much love and attention? Do you do it joyfully? Because I should be able to clean up the dog poop out there with as much attention and as much joy as I do baking one of my favorite treats or teaching a class. So when you've done 11 and 11, take a moment to just rest. And go ahead and bend the legs, squeeze the legs into the chest. Take the, take the legs to 90 degrees. Interlace the fingers. Push on the middle of the right thigh. So keep the right leg at 90 degrees, but your hands are on that right thigh, pushing into the thigh. Now at the same time, that thigh is pushing back. Left leg comes up. Keep pushing into the right thigh. Right thigh is pushing back. Lower the left leg, and maybe only lower a couple of inches. Maybe you can take it to just hovering, and then bring it back up. If at any point you need to bend the left leg, that is fine as well. Let that leg push back. Let the hands push into that thigh. Do 5 more and then switch sides. So we should constantly look at ourselves so we can change, so we can expand ourselves. There are 2 states in which we can live and how we can live: expansion and contraction. If I'm living in a state of expansion, I will be able to pick up the dog poop joyfully. I will be able to do it with as much love and attention as I do other things that may be perceived as being more joyful.
Okay, like this.
Yes. Yeah, after you've done those last ones, then switch to the other side, the second side. But if I'm not aware, right, if I don't examine, not to berate, not to belittle myself, then I'll keep doing the same things in the same way, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. You have this great opportunity. You have been born human. You have a desire to know your inner dweller. You have a desire to know God. If you want to think of God not as this, right, white man in the sky, think of God as peace, as contentment, as joy. Do about 5 more. The end of that 5th, squeeze the legs in. Let's go into a hip stretch before we move on. So when you're squeezing the legs in, then take the right ankle, flex through the right foot. You can either draw the foot in towards the left shoulder. You can push the knee away with that right hand. But if we think of satya, we think of truthfulness.
Tam.
This is where we need to be brutally honest, but radically accepting. So I need to be brutally honest about who I am, where I am, what I'm doing. And I need to be accepting of that so that I can change it. Switch sides. But if I'm not honest in the world, I will never be honest about myself. My mind will keep me trapped in lies to feed the ego. I will believe them because I'm too weak to change. That sankalpa shakti. Right? So think about how honest you are in life. Somebody said, if you don't feel like smiling, don't smile. This is not a fake it till you make it tradition. This is not pretending you have something that you don't have. Right? How many times do you ask someone how they are because it's perfunctory? Because inside you don't really give a flying fuck how they are. But it's etiquette. You walk by someone, how are you? I don't really care how you are. And then we answer accordingly, oh, I'm fine. And I may not be fine at all. Come back through center. Squeeze both legs in. Roll it up to all fours, Stick the right arm out, extend the right arm, left leg. Now what I want you to do, so draw the left toes towards the shin, take the right arm behind you and bring the left leg up. Push it out. Keep it going. So if you can, take that right arm all the way behind you so it folds back and extends out. Do 3 more, and then extend the right arm, left leg away from each other. When you get them away from each other, lift the right arm and the left leg as high as you can. And just hold. Notice the breath. Notice the momentum of the breath. Can you take the breath and can you calm it down? So we lift that right arm and left leg as high as you can. Let it be challenging. But face it with joy in your heart. Face it with some excitement. What is this teaching me? Slowly release. Second side. So start looking at how honest you are in all interactions. And in all ways, right? How honest are you with your text messages? How honest are you with conversations? How honest are you with your social media if you do social media? As within, without. As without, within. Do 3 to 5 more, and then lift that arm and leg as high as you can. Because the goal is, this time next year, when we do recommitment week, we can look back at the journal if we've been answering the questions. We can examine ourselves and we can see some growth. Or maybe we see some areas that, this is where I need to focus on this year. It's hard work. You can't be weak and do a real spiritual practice. The two do not go hand in hand. You have to have some sankalpa. You have to have some shakti. You have to have sankalpa shakti. Go ahead, release. Press back, downward facing dog. You have to have grit and you have to have determination. You are working on the highest goal. You are working towards liberation. You're working on freeing yourself from those tethers of bondage. You might want to have the blocks for the second part of this. So lift the right leg up, bend it, bring it through. Now you're on the ball of that back foot, and you're going to come into a nice high lunge, and you're going to just gaze forward. Then you're going to push back, stay high on the ball of that back foot, keep the hips leveled, hinge forward over that front leg, and you're just sliding forward and doing it between that lunge, and you press back. Doing that a few times. So the blocks will give you a little more space, is what we want. So that the thigh can come closer to parallel towards the floor. Next time you get to that lunge, stay in the lunge. Get really settled and strong through the back foot. Can you come up a little higher onto the ball of the back foot? So you're as if you've got those high heels on. Now, keep this position with the lower body, bring the arms up. Can you bring the torso back so it's a little more vertical? Nice. Yeah. Now take a hold of that left forearm up to the wrist, lengthen it, lean to the right. Stay there for 2 or 3 breaths. Then you're going to come back through center, switch sides. So you're going to switch it, then you're going to take it over to the left for 2 or 3 breaths or so. Then you will release it down and take it back to downward facing dog. Take a resting breath in downward facing dog. Anytime you feel like you need to regroup or whatever in downward facing dog, stay there for a couple breaths longer. If you feel like you need more length in the hamstrings, I'm going to push you back just a little bit. Do you think it would be too much for your back? For your foot? No. Okay.
The best position I meant to stand. The dog.
Mm-hmm. Bring that second leg forward, and you know what to do. One thing I know for certain is that the more honest you become with who you are, the more you change, the better your practice becomes. Right? If I start to really be honest that I'm super greedy, I don't like to share anything. So I'm aware of this. Now, the next time you come forward, stay in that lunge. We're going to go into that high lunge, the same thing that we did last time. So I start focusing on an attitude of generosity. Maybe to cultivate more generosity, I start focusing on things that I'm grateful for. Right? If I feel more grateful, chances of me being more generous are high. So we understand, right, our deficits and how to work with them. Go into that side bend. So 2 to 3 breaths on the first side, 2 to 3 breaths on the second side. But if I never understand my deficits, I'll never change. I'll never have anything to work with. I just go through blindly. This is this visual that Riley gave me that really works, right? If we go through blindly, not really changing, but we're like superficially doing a practice. So if you visualize being on some baby skates and you're just going, you're not going anywhere, but you're swinging those arms and you're moving on those baby skates. So are you on baby skates right now? Come to a forward plank. Lower all the way down. Bring the arms so the palms are facing each other. Forehead can stay on the floor. You can keep the chin on the floor. You can lift the head slightly up. If you're lifting the head up, keep the gaze down though. So what you're going to do is inhale and lift the arms, and maybe you can lift the torso as well. And if you do lift the torso, then the head will come with you. So inhaling. So try maybe 5 or so inhaling up, and then try 5 or so exhaling up. So try not to fling into it. So if you are able to get the torso up, then yeah, let the head come with it. So 5 with the inhalations or more, 5 with the exhalations or more.
when it
Right? If we look at Asteya, non-stealing, right? Stealing is not just tangible items, right? We can steal attention from people, time. Those are actually more dangerous. So after you've done your count, take Makrasana for a couple of breaths. Now, when you are in Makrasana, you just feel the rise and fall of the belly. Feet can fall in or out. We're not going to be here too terribly long, so your knees should be okay. If we were going to be here longer, we would put a blanket under the shins. That would give them some support. So I examine the areas where I take things that are not karmically mine, that are not mine. Now go ahead, release the hands. Bring the hands alongside the torso. You can place them palms down or up, whatever feels best for you. And now chin to the floor. And one leg at a time or both legs at a time. So you're just lifting the legs up now. One leg at a time or both legs. Same thing, so you can try. So if you're doing one leg, maybe you want to do 6 or so that it stays a little bit more even. And if you are doing one leg, don't use that leg to open up to the side. So same thing, 10 with the inhalation, 5 or so with the inhalation, and then 5 or so with the exhalation. So you start examining your interactions and your behaviors. Right? Oh, I lied. I manipulated because I needed this boost for my self-esteem. I lied. I manipulated because I didn't want to be the one at fault for what happened. So I threw someone else under the bus. So same thing after you finish your sets, Makrasana for a couple breaths. I'm not a bad person for doing what I did, but I know better, so I need to do better. Or I'm learning, so I need to do better. You should find it easier with the inhalations to get lift. Because, right, you're filling the navel up, and that automatically gives you a little bit of extra push, if you haven't noticed that. So just a couple breaths in Makrasana. And we can never claim ignorance. First of all, ignorance is not bliss, but we can't claim it because karmically we are responsible, right? If I go through an area and I don't know the speed limit and I'm speeding and a cop sees me and has radar and pulls me over, he's still going to give me a ticket. Even though I say, I didn't know the speed limit. Done that, right? I didn't know. Okay, so you didn't know, now you do. Here's your ticket, sign right here. Thanks. Now, the next time, push both arms out straight, palms facing each other. So same thing, 5 or so, inhaling, lift, this time arms and legs, torso, everything up. 5 with the inhalation, 5 or so with the inhalation, 5 or so with the exhalation. Nice. Karma's like that. Karma doesn't care if you didn't know, if you behaved badly. But for those of us on the spiritual journey, if we behave badly, karma can come and feel a bit harder, a bit more challenging. If you kill a bug, your karma is different than if you kill a dog. So after you've done your 5 or so with the inhalations and exhalations, Makrasana. Because one thing is certain, karma is always just and karma is always righteous. The universe is just and righteous. It's that skillfulness in action. Goes back to what we started with. How skillful am I with my actions doing the mundane things? Then I will become more skillful doing my practice. When I become more skillful doing my practice, I will become more skillful doing the mundane things, doing life stuff. Go ahead, press back to all fours, and you can decide if you want to go into balasana or downward facing dog. So child's pose or downward facing dog to kind of just reset the back. But it all starts with that self-examination. Look at yourself in regards to the yamas and to the niyamas. Examine your propensity to be not pure with what you consume and with how you act. Ask yourself, how content are you? Why aren't you content? Now, wherever you are, find your way to all fours and do about 5 cat and cows. At the end of your 5th cat and cow, bring the right leg forward. So try to have that left thigh perpendicular, and you can use the blocks. Keep the toes really active. So maybe you slide that leg forward a little bit and then draw the toes back towards the shin. Try not to hook that leg and lift it at all. And then walk the hands forward, blocks or no blocks, first, second, third level. So go through those yamas, right? The niyamas nightly, asking yourself, was I injurious today with my thoughts, with my speech, with my actions? How can I improve tomorrow? Was I untruthful today? Always ask that why and how can I improve? Did I live a life of moderation? Take the hands to the blocks, and then I want you to walk to the right with those blocks. And you've got levels to play with.
Yep.
And you can walk the hands forward. You can keep them next to the legs.
I'm going to push the hips this so it's, yeah. This will get you just a little more space. Yeah. And then see if you can, yep, and then lengthen. Nice.
Was I greedy today? Why was I greedy? Why was I afraid I wasn't going to get enough? Why was I grasping? Could be enough food. Could be enough attention. Why was I afraid I wasn't going to get enough attention today? Come back through center, bring that leg back, all fours, reset, 5 cat and cows, switch to the second side. Did I steal today? Did I take more than I needed? You have the questions. Now you just got to find the answers. And you need to find them lovingly. Think about it. If you've had a teacher who was firm yet loving, you want it to do better. You want it to do your work. You want it to do what was necessary. If you had a teacher who was just a real jerk, you probably didn't care as much. So we want to be loving and kind, but firm to ourselves. If I berate myself, if I ridicule myself, if I belittle myself, I've already zapped 50% of my energy. How can I change those habits? How can I change those samskaras? Walk it over to the left. And friends, we are here to change. We are here to change those habits. We are here to change those samskaras. Right? So you've been given the greatest gift, this human birth. You've been given human existence, which means you are not controlled by instinct, not like the animal kingdom. You are in a living tradition. You have the desire to know God. You have all 3 things that are necessary to succeed. If that's not exciting, my God, I really don't know what is. Like, if you think about that, it just makes me kind of giddy. Walk it back through center. Right? Remember, we talked about this, what Krishna said, bring that leg back, 5 cat and cows. Takes great karma to want to know God. Better karma than great karma to do something about it. And the best karma to have a guide. We have an entire tradition behind us. Swamiji is there guiding us. We're being guided and protected by unseen forces that want us to succeed. The next time you come through neutral, pause, swing the legs to the right, push the legs forward, go back into Paschimottanasana. Right? It's the frog who was in the well, and he was jumping to try to get out, and all the other frogs came over, and they saw him down there, and they thought, oh, he's never going to make it out. And so they were screaming at the top, quit jumping, don't exhaust yourself, stop, rest, you're never going to make it out. And he was looking up, but he couldn't quite hear what they were saying. And he thought they were saying, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And he made it out. That's what we have behind us. We have a line of sages, of ancients behind us saying, you can do it. Come on. And we're not misunderstanding it. They are there doing that. Instead, our mind is lying to us and saying, oh, you can't do it. That's too hard. Well, let me just look at Instagram now instead of doing my practice. Oh, let me just swing through the drive-thru and get a sandwich instead of going home and cooking. Let me go out with my friends tonight. Oh, let me skip my practice today because I'm so tired. Your mind is a terrible liar to you, and you believe it. I believe it. We must question our thoughts constantly. Let's move into a twist. Keep your right leg extended. You can take your left leg, wrap it over. If you want to bend that opposite leg back, so if you want to bend that leg back, go ahead. If you want to stay with the leg, extend it in. It's perfectly fine. If you want to bend it back, you're going to twist the same way, so it doesn't matter. Whatever feels best for you. So when you're feeling down, when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling like, oh, my practice isn't doing what I want it to do. Oh, I'm skipping my practice. I'm not being consistent. Instead of beating yourself up, know that there's a line of sages behind you saying, you can do this. Because you have everything you need to do it. So start examining yourself in the world. How do you do what you do in the world? Bring that awareness back to your practice. Switch sides. Because how we do anything is how we do everything. How you do one thing is how you do all things. Talk about generosity. These ancients, they did the work. And then they gave us the tools. They gave us the textbooks, right, with the scriptures. That's so generous. Man, that's a great thing to think about, to be born in the Kali Yuga. We've already got the textbook. the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Ramayana. We've got it. We just have to read it. We just have to do what the ancients have told us to do. Come back through center. Push both legs out. Give them a little shake. We're just going to go into Baddha Konasana. So bring the legs back. You can stay high. You can go forward. You can use blocks. So as we move into more of this dedication week, right? We're on day 2. There's lots to reflect on. So if you want a stellar practice, what do you need to do? And then with the inhalation, come up, push the legs forward, give them a little shake. And then we're going to flip around and we'll do relaxation. And when we do the meditation, so we're going to be doing the same meditation this week because I think it'll be interesting for you to have a time to do it all week to see how it changes and how it works with you. But when we do the meditation, we'll come up and we'll face east, which is towards the street. Is it okay if I turn the light off to them for Shavasana and meditation?
He's totally dark.
Think it'll be too dark?
And should it? But he
So when you get down here, just making any of those final adjustments so the body can become totally quiet, totally still. And then we allow the space at the crown of the head to relax. The space in between the eyebrows, relax. Temples, relax. Eyes, nose, mouth, relax. Chin, jawline, ears, relax. Neck, throat, relax. Shoulders, upper arms, elbows, forearms, relax. Wrists, palms, fingers, relax. Tailbone, lower back, middle back, upper back, relax. Chest, belly, all the internal organs, relax. Hips, buttocks, relax. Thighs, knees, shins, calves, relax. Ankles, heels, arches, tops of the feet, balls of the feet, toes, relax. The entire body has become totally, completely relaxed. Now returning to the breath, directing it to the toes and the fingers, and gently begin to wiggle them. And then allowing the body to stretch and move as if for the first time today. And when it feels right, rolling to whichever side is beckoning. And when the body decides it's time, bringing it to a seated posture. We will do our prayers and then our meditation.
Out. Bucks.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhak Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Now finding that comfortable seat. Head, neck, and trunk straight. Head, neck, and trunk straight. Lengthen the neck, chin is parallel to the floor. Soften through the shoulders. If you need to put any support underneath the thighs for the groins, do so now, or anything underneath the butt to give you a little more lift. Now just taking a few breaths. Each breath becoming more mindful of the flow of the breath, more aware. Focus on making the breath serene. The next exhalation from the crown and down to the tips of the toes, not beyond. Inhaling from the toes and back up to the crown. Making it continuous. The next exhalation to the ankles. The next exhalation to the knees. Exhaling to the knees, inhaling out. The next time to the tip of the tailbone, and then inhaling out. To the lower abdomen. Exhaling to the abdomen, inhaling out. The next exhalation to the solar plexus region and up. The next exhalation to the heart. Inhaling back to the crown of the head. Next exhalation to the throat center. Inhaling back to the crown of the head. The next exhalation to that space, that piece of skin, that bit of skin between the nostrils. Staying in that space for the inhalation and the exhalation. The coolness of the inhalation, the warmth of the exhalation. The entire breath of the inhalation and exhalation. The next inhalation, bring it to that space between the eyebrows and staying here. Inhaling and exhaling in this space. As you become the observer, thoughts come, let them go. Return back to the inhalation and the exhalation into that space between the eyebrows. You hear sounds, just observe them. Return back to the inhalation and the exhalation of that space between the eyebrows. Inhaling and exhaling in that ebbing flow in this space. Continuously. The next time you inhale, just returning that awareness back to the flow in the nostrils. Returning the awareness with each breath into the body. bringing the hands together, bringing the hands to the heart, dropping the head towards the hands and towards the heart. Knowing this is where your inner dweller is, deep inside this cave. As we say the prayer, our daily ashram prayer to our inner dweller. Let me cherish those that God cherishes. Let me forgive those that God forgives. Let me serve those that God serves. Let me love those that God loves. Jai Gurudev.